G'day, it's Chris again. Today I'm putting on the Rough Country relocation bracket for this bad boy to fit on the back. Right now it kind of looks silly with this wheel on there, considering the other bad boys are already on it. So I will be going through the process of doing this. Hopefully it works. So the first step will be getting off your stock wheel. You'll need an impact gun. Take your lug nuts off. Also, you'll need the, from your Jeep set, you'll need one of the Torx from that. I believe it's the T40. And you will have to loosen this. So what you do is you just put your torque bit onto it and turn it to the unlock, like that. You can see on it that it's pointing to it. And then this will just slide right off. And then you'll be able to take your last bolt off and get the wheel off. So the next step is to get these bolts or nuts off. They are T25, so you'll need a T25 Torx to get that off. Now that you've loosened off those T25 bolts, all 7 of them, you take this off. It'll pull off of the back of this. There's a wire attached, so watch out. Just bring it to the front, and what we're going to be doing here is extending this wire. So we're going to have to pull this out right here and here, and you're going to have to place it closer to here. It's going to allow more space for the brake light piece to raise up higher. So here is the end result of moving the wire. It was around here. Now it's just placed in the inside and goes up around here. Whenever you put this back together, just watch that it's like actually tucked between here and not near the bolts. Whenever you tighten it, you don't cut the wire and your brake light won't work. So now we're just, once we have that the wire placed lower, you apply it on and put the 7 T25 bolts back in, and it'll be assembled back together, and then we'll move to the next step. Now the next step is to take off this whole piece. There's 8 bolts, and I found out that it's a 13mm socket. So you take these 8 bolts off, and whenever you take this off, watch out, because this wire, just keep it hanging to the side, but don't have it hanging on the wire and stretch the wire and break it. So we're going to move on to loosening this off and taking it off. Okay, I have those 8 bolts out, and I have this sitting on a chair, so don't yank on that wire. The next step is to put the actual plate on. It's going to be placed right where those, right in front of those 8 holes, and you're going to use the stock bolts that you already took out to replace this back on. I'm going to get that on. Then we're going to move on to the next step of installing that back on with the new bolts that they give with the package. So here it is lined up. I'm just showing you where the bolts go. One here, and here, and here. Actually, I should say all 8 bolts. The top and the other locations, the holes, are for whenever you place this back on. Now that you have those 8 bolts tightened up, they say, I believe it's 30 pounds torque. After that, this will be going on, but you don't put it on totally tight. Okay, just place it on, screw the bolts in a little bit. The reason is because we have to loosen this wire off of this spot. It just tucks in there. You just pull it out, and then it's going to be loose. So, and that's going to slide into here, in behind, whenever you put it on. Just an important step. Don't tighten this on yet. Just put them on, but don't tighten. So now I have the tire carrier on, but as I said, the screws aren't tightened fully. And as I explained, to take the wire off the tire carrier and attach it in through the slot onto the bracket. So that shows how it goes. Now you see the wire loose in there, as it's not attached to the bracket up here. That was done before, as I explained. The next step is going to be loosening these four with your T25, and we're going to be raising it up to the highest level. We'll move on to the next step. I've now taken the 4 bolts out, and I lift it up on this. You pull it up to the last placement. You're only going to be putting in 2 bolts in. You took out 4, but because you're racing it, you're only going to have 2 spots to put your 2 bolts to hold that on. But that's going to raise it high enough for the wheel to be on there. So now you'll just put your bolts in here and tighten that up. The cautious thing you need to do is watch out here where the wire is, where you've stretched, where you've placed it through here. Sorry. It goes up through here and behind, and then it comes up through here. You're going to pull the wire up gently, as this is why the bolt is loose here, so there's leeway for it to pull up. Now make sure it's placed in a safe area. Whenever you tighten it, it tucks in there, and then you'll be able to put the 2 bolts back on. Now that you have these 2 bolts tightened right here, your wire is tucked in behind. Your wire will sit flush in behind the plate right in here. So the next step is going to be tightening the 8 bolts. And that's where I caution that wire has to be down in between where it's not going to get pinched. After that, once you tighten that, I'd suggest just pressing on the brake light to see if the brake light's working. If it is, then you did a good job. I now have the wheel placed back on, tighten the lug nuts, and don't forget to use the T25 to lock this for your camera. And that's it. That's your end result right there. There it is. This was my solution to stop the rear backup sensors, proximity sensors, from beeping at all times. Whenever I had this wheel on and it was lower, it was making the proximity sensors go off. And now I don't have that problem. So that solved the issue. Plus, I think it looks better the way it is now up higher. All right, take care, and subscribe and like this video. And follow me on Instagram at mango392. Thanks. Take care.